So we were discussing today what the impact of WikiLeaks is going to be, and we were making the case that we need to be really careful about any pressures for legislation, because there is a likelihood of a knee-jerk reaction from legislators to say, let's stop WikiLeaks from ever happening again. Let's make sure that leakers are punished and that these sites can be taken down, blocked, removed, whatever it happens to be. We need to resist that, because if we do that, we lose our ability to have proper freedom of speech and hold governments to account. There's always a role for the law to play. If people leak information, it is always going to be possible for them to be taken to court, and there should always be a public interest defence for that. And we have to remember that it's our fundamental rights that are at stake here, and the way that our democracy functions. This isn't just about WikiLeaks, good or bad. We need laws that work for a free society. So we need to resist any pressures for laws which are going to remove or limit our freedom of speech, our right to a free press, and the ability of whistleblowers to make information public that's in the public interest for us to know.
It was a very interesting evening today, and actually some quite frank exchanges of views. I think for us at the Pirate Party UK, we've been pressing for the viewpoint that WikiLeaks is overwhelmingly acting in the public interest and for the public good. That I think it's kind of actually outrageous that there's this kind of suggestion that WikiLeaks isn't somehow endangering lives. What's been odd is the spin that simultaneously WikiLeaks is the Cablegate has been of no consequence, but also it's endangering lives. I think it's what we've seen, for example, that the British Parliament has been misled about the issue of cluster bombs, for example. So it's important that we are able to, as citizens, to call our democratic representatives to account. At Pirate Party UK, we've been actually hosting mirror sites for WikiLeaks, so we've been proposing positive action. It's kind of been interesting, some of the exchanges today, because there's been a lot of kind of worrying, well, okay, this is essentially a security issue. What do we do to stop this happening again? Well, it's going to happen again, and particularly if it's material of this nature, which is overwhelmingly in the interest of people to access. So it's not a question of, oh, well, our security isn't good enough, or we need to invent new crackdowns to try and stop information getting out. It's actually thought of, how do we act as both as citizens and as political representatives? And I think WikiLeaks is actually calling us to account and showing us who we've become.
Regarding WikiLeaks, it's hard to know where to start. I think the most important thing has been not what WikiLeaks actually leaked, but in fact the response to WikiLeaks' disclosure of this information. In particular, the corporate response. The idea that MasterCard and Visa, PayPal reacted so quickly to requests allegedly from, or possibly from the American government, acting essentially in a legal, or conducting a legal request without necessarily going to court. And this seems to be an increasing modus operandi for governments, because we're having something very similar happening here in the UK with Nominet now discussing changes to its terms and conditions, which will allow them to take down websites that much more quickly. I don't think that's a particularly good thing. I'd like to see much more court overview on these actions.